Story 1. When I finish paying at a grocery store and take a moment to put my card and change back in my wallet, I feel overwhelming anxiety about the people behind me waiting. Story 2. When someone says, "Let's go around the room and introduce ourselves," I suddenly forget my name, job, hobbies, and how to speak like a human being. Story 3. Scheduling any kind of appointment can be challenging. If it has to be very early in the morning, it can negatively impact my life until then. Story 4. Driving has never been enjoyable for me, and after a few close calls, I feel especially anxious on the highway. I also dislike being a passenger. Story 5. Waking up extra early for anything, whether it's catching a flight or going to work, is always a challenge for me. I never sleep well, tossing and turning, constantly glancing at the clock. Story 6. Using public restrooms or workplace toilets can be uncomfortable, especially when there are other people in nearby stalls or at the urinals. Story 7. I once had a series of traumatic experiences over 3 days. At one point, Madonna was playing. For years, her music gave me incredible anxiety and even triggered a flashback once. A doctor diagnosed me with a phobia related to Madonna. After eye movement desensitization and reprocessing treatments, it went away, but that was definitely an unusual experience. Story 8. Walking in hotel hallways alone can be uncomfortable. When I travel solo, I have a staff member accompany me to my room, and I give them a small amount of cash for their help. Story 9. Returning items to a store. My husband gave me clothes for my birthday this year. They didn't fit, and he said it was okay. They told me I could return or exchange them. I cried because my birthday gift felt like, go do that thing that fills you with anxiety. Story 10. Having multiple activities in one day can be overwhelming. If I have a doctor's appointment, I spend the day anticipating it, and then I need to recharge afterward, which consumes my whole day. I remember when I was younger, I could fit a lot into one day. A job interview, grocery shopping, meeting friends for drinks, and even going clubbing, all in one day. Story 11. Phone calls, since the age of 25, have generally become terrifying experiences for me, and I have no idea why. It seems like my mind thinks I will die every time I need to make a call. Story 12. Sliding glass doors at night make me feel as if I might see someone looking back from the other side. Story 13. Having to call someone to schedule or fix something can be challenging. Often, I am unsure how to phrase my problem or question. Story 14. Telling people no, for example, "Hey, can you cover this shift?" I instantly start sweating and going short of breath and say yes, then regret it later in the day. Someone asks me at work, "Do you mind going to the vending machine to get this and that?" I want to say no, but I can't help but say yes. I mean, it's a nice thing, right? So I should say yes. Today, I was carrying 2 donuts and wanted to share with someone I didn't know. He told me to offer them to another guy working close by. The other guy took both in the box, and I couldn't build up the courage to tell him I wanted to share. Things like this make me struggle with myself all the time. How am I going to take charge once I get promoted at work? With this way of being, I don't think I'll be able to lead a team to do anything. Story 15. Turning my back on a dark basement to go back up the stairs, I get an irrational feeling that I am being watched by something. Story 16. Having to wait for traffic with the right-of-way so I can turn right on red is challenging. It's not the traffic. It's my strong belief that the people behind me think I'm foolish for not going promptly. Story 17. Having to wake someone up from sleep probably stems from having to alert the caregiver when I missed the school bus and got in trouble. Now, I feel a layer of anxiety at the thought of waking someone up. I usually just call the person's phone and hope they wake up so I don't have to wake them verbally or physically myself. Story 18. A message from my parents says, "Call me when you can." It's normal. They know I'm working and have kids, and we're all busy. It causes anxiety because their generation doesn't understand that they could make the call, and that phrase sounds like they need to inform me that someone has passed away. Story 19. I choked once and had to perform a self-Heimlich maneuver over the back of a chair. I've been a bit on edge while eating ever since, especially if I'm having something particularly chewy. Story 20. Loud or noisy environments can be overwhelming. I once downloaded a decibel app on my phone, and Walmart ranked high on the list. The music and ringing phones contributed to the entire experience. The last time I visited a Target, it felt like I was in a library compared to Walmart. Story 21. MRI tests. I am terrified of tight spaces and anything covering my face. I had an MRI while a cage-like device was placed on my face. It was a horrible experience. Story 22. Making a phone call has never been enjoyable for me. I prefer people to text me. I also dislike voicemails. Story 23. When someone doesn't answer the phone, I panic that something is wrong and they might be in danger. Story 24. I struggle to focus on what they are saying because I am so worried about being normal. I try to remember to look at them, ask questions, and reply with sufficient detail to show that I am interested. Story 25. Being asked about my favorite things is challenging. The only question I can answer easily is about color. I struggle with food, movies, or music genres. Story 26. Talk to text, my heart races, and I forget how to talk and think normally the moment I hit the microphone button. Story 27. Walking. I am hemiplegic and unable to walk unassisted, but I can walk short distances with a hemiwalker. Every time I walk from my wheelchair to my recliner or from my recliner to my wheelchair, I say a little prayer for safety. Sometimes I avoid walking if there is an audience because I do not like having many eyes on me, unless I really need to use the restroom. Story 28. Normal party. Family and friends were there. I knew everyone's name before the party. Now I do not know anyone's name. Story 29. Change and disorganization. I prefer a routine, structure, and a designated plan. Driving. I am a learner, and 2-hour lessons leave me mentally exhausted and shaky. Being late, even due to circumstances beyond my control. Getting ready for a social event. Needing to use the bathroom while sleeping at someone else's house. I am terrified of waking everyone up, as every movement I make seems amplified. When the manager says, "Can I have a quick word?" my entire career flashes before my eyes. Get into groups. Mathematics. I can only perform basic mental calculations, and introducing decimals and percentages completely scrambles my brain. Conflict and confrontation. It is the one issue that gives me a visceral reaction, with my blood pounding in my ears and tearing up. Story 30. I would literally die if it meant not inconveniencing someone. Story 31. Being on the freeway gives me serious anxiety, even as a passenger. I pulled the handle above the passenger side window so hard that I broke it. I hate freeways. They feel too fast, and it's so easy for something to go wrong and cause a major accident. I drive my husband crazy. Most people think nothing of being on a freeway, but for me, it's stressful and raises my blood pressure. Story 32. I have an appointment scheduled for the afternoon. I would prefer to move it to the morning so I can complete it and continue with my day. Story 33. Not being in complete control. The times in my life when I have relinquished control of my environment or my situation have been the most stressful. Story 34. The kind of socializing that is expected at the hairdresser is overwhelming. Please, just let me be silent. You are styling my hair after all. Let me enjoy this time in complete quiet. Story 35. Everything really, but in particular, asking questions. I couldn't bring myself to ask whether a restaurant offered takeout. I had to wait outside while my friend went in. Story 36. Parking is challenging for me, and I always check the parking situation before going to a new place. I struggle with parallel parking and don't even attempt it anymore. Additionally, merging in traffic causes me significant anxiety, so I avoid it when I can. Story 37. Being in a window or middle seat on an airplane and needing to go to the restroom without wanting to bother the person in the aisle seat. Story 38. Grocery shopping involves many choices, and it can be overwhelming due to the costs and the presence of many other shoppers. This often causes me significant anxiety. However, curbside pickup has been life-changing. Story 39. Being forced to discuss numbers off the top of my head with people, especially coworkers, is challenging for me. I believe I do not see or think about numbers the same way others do. Story 40. Losing things makes me mistrust my memory of where I last placed an item, or if it could have fallen out of my pocket, or if I threw it away but forgot. Sometimes I resort to mystical thinking, wondering if a ghost moved it, or paranoid thinking, suspecting that someone I know might have stolen it. Story 41. Maybe I fit here right now. I'm not sure if this is valid. Weight loss medications like Ozempic. My partner has struggled with weight their whole life, going up and down on a diet and off a diet. They hurt their back pretty badly a few years ago, and the doctor said part of recovery is losing weight. They've been making steady progress over the last couple of years, but recently started a new job. The new job included an opportunity to work out more and eat much better. So, recently they've also been telling me once a week when they weigh themselves, "I've lost 3 pounds this week. I'm down 15 pounds total. I lost 2 pounds this week, 20 pounds total." I was so proud, beaming actually, "You're doing it." They've also been very sick every day. Every single day right after dinner, they say, "I feel sick. I have to go to bed." We haven't spent an evening together in a month. 2 days ago, I was in the fridge trying to find something, and I found a box that said semaglutide, the brand name, and I don't know. I was so mad. It scares me. Those medications mess with your metabolism so badly. Some people have their bodies ruined by that stuff. For what, to be skinny? My partner isn't diabetic and is only slightly overweight. I love them so much, and I just keep thinking that when they find out they're stuck on this medication forever because their metabolism is ruined. Or some people can't stop losing weight even when they stop the medication and turn into skeletons. It also made me feel lied to. They were telling me all these goals they were meeting, and I was so proud. But you're just taking medications. Is this why you're sick every day suddenly after you eat? Is this why we haven't spent an evening together in a month because you have to go to bed after dinner? I didn't say anything to them. It's their choice to make. I can't control them or tell them what to do. I don't want to say anything hurtful by mistake or devalue their weight loss that they've been striving for. I felt cold and angry towards them, but it's only because I'm upset and disappointed. I'm angry it was a secret. I'm angry about the risks taken with their long-term health for mostly vanity. I spent the last 2 days trying to rationalize it in my head and talk myself down. I'm less upset than I was that night. Why like this? They were making solid progress before this. Why risk your health with trendy new medications when you were already losing weight doing what you were doing? For the record, I know these medications have their place for people with health issues like obesity and diabetes. This isn't my partner. Story 42. When I am using a urinal, I often worry that I am just dreaming, and in reality, I am wetting the bed. Story 43. I have no problem receiving phone calls and actually prefer them to text. However, when I have to call people, it gives me such bad anxiety that I feel like I am annoying them. Story 44. Enclosed slides, indoor pools, wave pools, bathroom fans and vents, getting an unknown substance under my nails, and not closing the door completely. I can continue. Story 45. Checking my email. I feel a heart in my throat, stomach in my asshole, gut-wrenching fear for absolutely no reason. Story 46. Social interaction is challenging for me. I live alone and communicate with the same 3 people once or twice a month. My cat and my apartment comprise my whole world. I hide from my past and traumas here. Talking to others feels daunting. The idea of a healthy relationship seems so impossible that I tend to push everyone away. Story 47. Phone calls, especially the ones where you have to use the voice feature, can be challenging. It's important to remember the phonetic alphabet correctly, as it's frustrating to repeatedly say A for apple or argue with a robot until it connects you to a real person. Story 48. Asking for help. When I can't find something in a store, I walk out instead of asking. If I need a day off, I send a text instead of asking. When I need help moving something, I struggle to do it myself. Story 49. Social interaction. I recently had jury duty, and another potential juror kept trying to engage me in conversation. He wasn't being intrusive or odd, just friendly. However, I don't have the energy for small talk. I was actually relieved when I was chosen for the jury and he wasn't. Story 50. I am going to the doctor. Do I have to pay my copay or not? What is my copay? Why are insurance benefits hard to understand? Is the doctor in network? What if I need to see someone outside of my network? What if there are hidden costs? Will I pay more after my visit? This medical debt is overwhelming. Why is it so difficult to understand? Where are these numbers coming from? Story 51. Taking time off. Being late. Phone calls. Can I talk to you? Question. Someone calling me by my full name. Story 52. Self-checkouts. I don't steal and I'm not a kleptomaniac, but I'm always worried I will get accused of stealing by the machine or the employees. Story 53. Popping open a can of biscuits. I know the pop is coming every time, but I still jump. The moments leading up to it are pure anxiety. Story 54. Toddlers running downhill. I just know they are going to fall, and it's so hard to watch. Story 55. 1. Unread text message or missed phone call. Last-minute changes in plans, even something trivial like ordering Chinese instead of pizza. Being observed while doing anything makes me panic and I can't function anymore. Relaxing and then hearing someone come towards me creates a lot of guilt. Being late for anything. When I see supplies running low, like a jar of flour or sugar, I constantly refill and always buy items before they run out. Story 56. I have been at the same job for nearly 2 years now, and I still feel anxiety. Once I am there, I am okay. It is just the anticipation that is difficult. It has never become easier, and I do not know why. Story 57. Having people over can be challenging. I dislike it when others invade my privacy, touch my belongings, and use my kitchen and bathroom. If it were up to me, no one would visit. Unfortunately, my partner enjoys hosting parties and barbecues and often invites more than 30 people, which can be overwhelming. Story 58. When I have to get up early for work, my anxiety increases as I try to sleep the night before. Story 59. Hugs do not come naturally to me. It's not the act of hugging that bothers me. It's the anticipation and anxiety that come with approaching for a hug. Story 60. Be mindful of what you refer to as irrational anxiety. Something within you is usually trying to convey a message. You may need to examine the problem closely to uncover the underlying issue. Story 61. Doctor appointments can be overwhelming. Once I have visited a provider a couple of times and know what to expect, it becomes easier. Story 62. Filling in forms. I am so glad we now have tools like Google and ChatGPT, which allow me to check what they are asking. It is still awful, though. Story 63. I am going to the barber. As soon as I sit in the chair and they wrap the cloth around my neck, I start to feel a panic attack coming on until I can leave. So frustrating. Story 64. Opening unknown mail in my name, especially from government agencies or marked confidential in large bold letters. Usually indicates an unexpected bill or bad news of some sort. Story 65. A parcel is due. I cannot leave until it arrives. Any plans I had previously now revolve around that delivery. Story 66. Driving makes me anxious, but it also makes me very cautious. Years ago, I hit a deer and almost totaled my old car, which worsened my anxiety. I can drive, but I get nervous in unfamiliar territory. My mom has always said that I'm a good driver, which helps me feel a little better. Story 67. I can't put my wallet away fast enough. There's always something waiting for me to complete a task that takes 20 seconds, but they want it done in 2.5 seconds. Story 68. Grates intended for pedestrian use, such as ventilation shaft covers on sidewalks, and staircases with visible gaps between steps cause me to doubt their safety. Story 69. I am in line for a limited drop. My heart is racing, and my palms are sweaty as I rehearse my order like it's a job interview. One wrong move and it's sold out forever. Story 70. Ordering fast food at the counter or drive-thru makes my mind go blank, and I don't know what I want. Story 71. Talking on the phone with customer service representatives can be challenging if they have a strong accent that makes it difficult to understand them. Story 72. When people cluster in a public place, making it impossible to get around them, or someone blocks me from leaving a room, I feel trapped. I dislike t-shirts or necklaces that are too close to my neck. My husband often plays pranks on me and will purposely stand in a hallway when he knows I'm trying to get through. Story 73. Getting ready to go out for prearranged plans with friends. I usually have a good time once I am out, but I feel anxious about leaving the house for social events for some reason. Story 74. When I take off my shirt and it feels a little tight, I have a moment of complete panic that I will be stuck in it forever. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.